And welcome back, everyone, to part 7 of What If Naruto was adopted by Tsunade and Jiraiya. Last time on Naruto What If, Naruto was just about to square off with Gaara. Meanwhile, the third does have the help of Jiraiya in this version to take on Orochimaru. Now, the question could arise, and I didn't really address it, I think, very well in the last video. Would Orochimaru even try to attempt the destruction of the leaf here, knowing that two Sanin are also in the village? My opinion on that is yes, and the reason for that is very simple. Twofold. One, Orochimaru is extremely sure of himself and arrogant, but two, he thought himself the strongest of the three. Granted, he wasn't looking forward for open combat necessarily between any of them, but he still thought he was capable of taking them down. Real quick, someone also asked the question that, well, not asked the question, but brought up the fact that even though they knew I was leaning towards a Naruto Hinata pairing, they did raise their, not concern, but their thoughts on why that didn't work. How Naruto didn't save Hinata from the bullies, therefore the infatuation didn't develop, therefore she didn't start spying on him, and therefore she didn't realize how much the village treat him, therefore she shouldn't theoretically have a crush on him here. Well, I haven't actually made up my mind on what the pairing for this version, this series is yet. It could still go Naruto Ino, honestly. The reason for that is we're dealing with right now a more childish version of Ino. Come the Shippuden era, those characters have matured up quite a bit. So let's see what happens when Naruto interacts with a more matured Ino than there. I'm not saying also I won't make it a Naruto Hinata or the Dark Horse Temari could show up. And before you ask, well, what about anyone else? Those are kind of your front runners, because those are the ones that have just shown interest in Naruto. But B, I do disagree to a degree with what you're saying. Not because you're not wrong, but because I think you're going too far into the ideology of what it means to have a crush on someone. Hinata could still very well have a crush on Naruto in this version, simply for the fact that he's very friendly to her. He probably encourages her. A few other people encourage her. I mean, her friends do, but he's also obviously good looking. But he's very kind, and she still is smart enough to recognize when some people maybe give him a harsh look or something because of the fox. Is this going to be the head over heels falling in love at age 13 mentality she pretty much had at that point? No, I don't think it's that bad. But could she have a legit crush on him? Absolutely she could. He's probably the only guy in the class I could see her having a crush on. I don't see her being interested in Sasuke. Sorry, Kiba. I get Kiba's kind of similar to Naruto in his personality, but not to an extent that I think Hinata would go for Kiba. So I've never quite understood the Kiba-Hinata's shipping. And Shino, I honestly just don't think Shino's really interested in anyone. I'm not saying he's asexual. I'm just saying that I don't think he's never shown any romantic feelings towards anyone, really. Anywho, I digress. So, we start with Naruto and Gaara squaring off. And Naruto, look, he puts on a brave front, and he's very confident in his abilities. But even he knows, he's aware of what the Shikage, thanks to probably studying under Tsunade and Jiraiya for a long time, them letting him know about the fox, therefore learning probably about all 9 tail beasts. He's aware of the Shikaku, and it's a tail beast and how powerful it is, and the whole idea that it eats away at the psyche of the user. And he kind of laments that what Gaara's probably been going through. I'm going to cut just a little forward for a second and explain what the moral or what the takeaway from this fight ultimately is. In the original, the takeaway for the fight was Naruto, A, protecting Sakura first and foremost and his friends, but B, fighting Gaara, beating Gaara, and then relating to Gaara, to letting him know that I understand what you went through. I went through the same thing, but I was able to find something more. I was able to find people who cared about me, and now I will defend them with my life. I will take your life if I have to defend them. You don't have to be what they made you to be. You could be something where you could find people too. That was the moral in the original. Here, I do think it's a level of relation to Gaara that Naruto finds, but it's different. I think, to kind of paraphrase and sum up what the speech to Gaara at the end would be, spoilers, obviously, I think Naruto beats him, especially because we got a much more powerful version of Naruto here. is that, he probably says something along the lines of, I don't know what it's like I can't imagine what you've gone through. You were alone. People betrayed you. I was lucky. I had people who loved me and who accepted me for who I am. But that doesn't mean I don't understand what it means to be different, to have something in you that was not yours, that you didn't ask for, that was not your burden to bear, yet people forced it upon you. I've seen the glares that I've got being here, and it hurts. And he probably goes on further to say that, but you don't have to be what they make you out to be. You can be. He still gives that kind of spiel, like you can be something more. We don't have to be enemies. We can be friends. And again, he probably says like, I have friends. I have people I care about, so I will do everything in my power to defend them, even if that means I have to take your life. And so that's, I think, ultimately where that sort of ends up. But let's now backtrack to the actual fight, because that's what people want to hear. They don't want to hear about feelings or emotions or bonding or relation. No, they want carnage and ninja stuff. And so Gaara's just like, you're really you're annoying, Naruto Uzumaki. Killing you will make me feel truly alive. And he just throws out the giant sand arm. Naruto's making a couple clones, getting Sasuke and hi puppy, getting Sasuke and Sakura out of there. And sorry, you distracted me. Sasuke out there is like, they're not leaving at all. He throws Winjutsu out there. However, Naruto, one of the Naruto clones, actually just holds out the hand, does have to take the force that normally would dispel the clone. But note what I said, I believe, in the last chapter, he's got chakra seals on here now. So now he's able to capture. Granted, it's a lot of chakra, even for Naruto, who has a large amount of chakra, because they get stored in the seals. And they just kind of stay there. Eventually, they probably would be overloaded. So Naruto and Jiraiya have to work on maybe some sort of seal release. Oh, do you need to go outside? Do you need to make pee-pees or poop-poops? I'll have to check to see if she just made a pee in the other room. Anyway, so again, got distracted by the dog. Apologize. So Naruto is able to, because interesting. Not bad, Naruto Uzumaki. Yeah, we'll try this. And he just hits in with the Rasengan. And he just gets thrown back. Unfortunately, I actually think a standard Rasengan isn't very good against Gaara's sand. Reason for that is that sand isn't just for show. It's first off offense, we know that. But more importantly, we know it's defense. And when you condense something down, you basically are causing more density, more durability. And sand turns into glass, and sand coal, which when you really break it down is a carbon composited, not just sand obviously, but you could make an argument. You basically are condensing sand, like a group of sand, into like a rock, hardening up, and then condense it further. You are hardening something into extremely durable form. That sand is legit armor, and while it would be displaced and probably force Gaara back, it wouldn't really damage him that much. Naruto would be aware of this. Gaara comes in for another attack. He then throws out a tornado fish, which blasts him back, and this time does kind of uproot the sand a little bit. Gaara's just, I swear, yeah, this is what it means to truly feel alive, Naruto Uzumaki. I thank you. Now die! And he comes in again. Naruto, though, however, being smart, made some clones, set up the seal, the berry seal. He's reinforcing it with everything he has. You think this will hold me? Don't insult me! And just powers up and just breaks it. Gaara comes in, just smacks and just boom! However, Naruto's not stupid. He knows the barrier seal wouldn't hurt him. So what he did was basically do one other little seal. Here's where Naruto's creative thinking could come in. Putting paralysis seals on there to double it up, sure. But what I think he would actually do is maybe actually throw some storage seals on top there, so when it bursts open, the storage seals explode. And all of a sudden, Gaara realizes that with something sticking there, he's hearing sizzling. It turns out he left a bunch of paper bombs in there, and they're just all over him. So you get the, oh great, an enema scene, except all over him. So boom! And he's just, the sand couldn't absorb all the impact. I think he gave me a concussion. That little. And then Naruto comes in, it's over, Gaara! And he basically has the seal release where he's now releasing the chakra he stole from Gaara. All the clones are coming in. So basically he's releasing wind chakra into the Rasengan. Now obviously this is not creating an actual Rasen Shuriken or even a wind Rasengan. What it does do, though, is expand the Rasengan. Naruto quickly seeing it, has a couple clones, maybe trying to like, whoa! And he's about to just wail into Gaara before he transforms. Gaara traps him in the sand barrier. Naruto summons Gamabunta. And honestly, this whole part pretty much goes down beat for beat. The only difference would really be the dialogue. Gamabunta's like, oh, Naruto, why have you summoned me here? Oh, I see. Shikaku the Sand Spirit. What do you say, Gamabunta? Could you help me out? I don't think so. It's not like take a hike. No, it's because he likes Naruto, actually, in this version. It's like, I'm not sure. It's like, what do you mean? Well, why should I get involved with that guy? Please. It's like, oh, very well. Hold on, boy. And they duke it out for a while. Naruto ultimately does a transformation, wakes Gaara up, knocks his ass out. Ultimately, I think this Naruto is in a better shape than the original. He's nowhere near as drained. So he ultimately comes in, just kind of walks over to him slowly. He's tired, though. And all's well that ends well. There you go. There you go. All's well as ends well. That story arc is completed out. But what about the third Jiraiya and Orochimaru part of the story? There is, I think, a very big difference there. One, Jiraiya is not as strong, I think, as the second or the third. Jiraiya is strong. We know that. In fact, I believe he is widely considered to be the strongest of them. I think that is stated somewhere. He actually is the strongest Sannin, at least at the time of the three of them all being alive at the same time. Orochimaru, I think, has long since surpassed him at the point he was originally because of that damn stealing bodies technique. So Jiraiya's still able to fight. Certainly, probably summoning maybe Gamma. He's can't really go into sage mode, but he's using ninjutsu fire style, sealing techniques, shadow clones, all that. And unfortunately, that's just not enough because he is dealing with the first and the third. The third does say there's only one technique left that it would be usable, or that would be enough to save us here. And the third, Jiraiya is just like, no, come on, old man, there's got to be another way. And the burden of every, to quote Star Wars, really, the burden, or paraphrase anyway, the burden of every master, Jiraiya, is that we will one day be supplanted. Or we are what is to be surpassed, Jiraiya. It's time. My generation's time is over. Yours will come soon enough. It's time for the next generation to take over, to ensure the prosperity of our home. And Jiraiya just looking grim, just like, what do you need me to do? Yeah, and so obviously he comes in, the Infinite Darkness Juice or whatever it was called. He's got them both. He's like, is this really all you can do, Santobi Sensei? All of a sudden he gets, all of a sudden, what am I trying to say here? All of a sudden, eventually the third gets him. He's like, yeah. Meanwhile, Jiraiya basically has his clones in the corner. He's like, finally, it took a while, but I've finally been able to get this proper seals in place. Does the seals, brings the barrier down. He's like, oh, no, Lord Orochimaru, we have to get there quick. He's like, I don't think so. Jiraiya has a couple shadow clones there. It's like, and they just kind of whack them around a bit. We both know. And obviously he gets skewered. And you'd think it goes the same, where Orochimaru's just going to lose his arms. However, Sarutobi sees, people coming to his aid. Kabuto tries to go to Orochimaru's aid. I only ask you give me more stamina and chocolate quickly. And Tsunade either Tsunade is there or she eventually has shown up there. And Tsunade, using medical ninjutsu, is able to stabilize him. She knows that he's dead no matter what, but she's able to stabilize him and get more chocolate. It's like, that is the difference between you and I, Orochimaru. I know the value of friends, allies, and students. And your death will come from your defeat will come at the hands of those who once called you friend. And I was like, no, you will not stop me, old man. My ambition will never die. This isn't over. I swear, I'll kill you. And then just seal. And then Orochimaru's body just goes done. So, and Kabuto would watch it. It's like, and Kabuto basically is issuing the order. It's like, we get out of here right now. Go, 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 go. Sound 4 is able to finally escape. They hightail it out. Sound, what remains of them, leaves. The village is victorious again. And Orochimaru is out of the picture. For now. I'm trying to figure out if there's any way I could maybe bring him back. Honestly, that is debatable. I take it back. There is hypothetically a way to do it, We'll see if I think it warrants going down that path. However, they see the cost that came at the third is good dead. Long live the third. And everyone goes to the funeral. They mourn and is very sad. But in the darkness comes a light. And they talk about who's going to be the who's going to be the fifth Hokage. And Tsunade and Jiraiya both know it's going to have to be one of us, isn't it? It's like, yeah, it is. And Naruto is also like, wow, one of you guys is going to have to be the Hokage? Awesome. They kind of give a response like, trust me, it's not a job we think we're really tailored to, but if we have to, we'll do it. And basically, well, which one of us is it going to be? And they both kind of look at each other like, you guys, I guess we know there's only one way to settle this. I guess there is. I could see, granted, I can see them having a legitimate talk about it too. So, in fact, I could see this being one of the scenarios where, again, Tsunade notes that she actually now does legitimately have feelings for Jiraiya, where they're having a very mature conversation. They have a sheer laugh about, it's not a job either of us wanted, but neither was parenthood. And look how we turned out. They both share a spot. And she actually kind of maybe they're looking maybe outside, looking at the moon, having a drink, and she maybe leans her head on his shoulder, and he's just like, it's like, He's like, I'm not going to say anything. I'm going to accept this for what it is and just, and be like, just have a drink of my sake and just enjoy this. So, the little hint, the further evolution of their relationship. Ultimately, Tsunade is the one who accepts the responsibility of being the third Hokage. Should also note, Lee is at perfectly fine health right now, too, so good for Lee. But there's a big change here that comes. Itachi and Kasame invading the village. Now, because the border, the attack on the Leaf happened, their defenses were lower. That's why they were able to kind of just be inside the village a lot easier. However, they know that Tsunade and Jiraiya are both in the village, at least at the moment. So going in there is not a safe thing to do. There's also no Tsunade retrieval arc here. There's no reason for it to happen because Tsunade is there. Not to mention, my guy. Though honestly, they probably just say like, no, we'll have to. This isn't a good time. And ultimately, we know they had time. They had to wait for the Tsunade to reconstitute all of that. So yeah, there's no Itachi Kasame happening here, which now really brings into question what happens now. So, Sasuke is actually in an okay state mentally. Yeah, he wasn't able to beat Gaara, but he understood. But it was explained what happened there about the Shikaku, and he ultimately understood it. And he knows Naruto's strong. So this is different than watching the dead last become equal, if not stronger than you. So Sasuke, I think, is fine. He also doesn't have the issue of Itachi not wanting to deal with him and wanting Naruto. So he doesn't have that superiority complex, nor does he get hospitalized. So Sasuke is actually in an okay state mentally. Beyond that, though, what do we really have to ask the question is, how is Naruto's 3-year training going to happen? And this is where I think the biggest changes are going to happen with Naruto. I think Jiraiya and Tsunade are both talking about how we need to prepare, because Jiraiya still has a spy network. Let's call it the spy network. He's still got his contacts that allow him to know about because again, the spy network is something that is a creation of the fandom. It's not technically canon. But he still has his contacts to let him know the Akatsuki will wait about 3 years to attack. And that's important. In fact, it's actually going to be a bit longer just because of the time frame of everything happening. So more like 3.5 years. So Jiraiya and Tsunade are talking about how they want to train Naruto, and Jiraiya says, might be time for him to learn from the Toads. He's like, you sure about that? I am. It'll also give us a safe place to train with a Foxy Shocker down the road. All right, fine. Fine. But he'll only be doing it. He'll only be spending half the time there. Here, I want him to work harder on his first his taijutsu, very important, but also his chakra training with medical ninjutsu, as well as learning the Genesis Seal release. And I also want to try teaching him, getting him into the strength chakra control. And so that's where a lot of Naruto's training is going to be. Now he's going to spend half the time, like every 6 months, he's going to go to Mount Miyabuku, and then he's going to stay in the village. And Mount Miyabuku, stay in the village. And I think that is, in the last half of year, will be in Mount Miyabuku, so it does still lead us into Shippuden where he shows back up. Now, how well is Naruto going to get all of this down? Let's see. We're at the 20-minute mark. I can summarize a lot of that real quick. So he's going to get a bunch more wind jutsu down. Wind shearing dome is the one I call for the defensive technique that has the offensive purposes. I think also him learning a secondary jutsu would work, or a secondary element would work. Naruto technically didn't have one, but he gained access when he got a sixth path chakra. I would be inclined to think that his secondary element is either fire because of Kurama being inside of him, which would make sense, and complement is wind, or water, which can also complement, or can be complemented by wind. Either or. I think fire makes a bit more sense. Just because while Jiraiya, I believe, has water jutsu under his belt, his elements, I believe, are fire and earth. We know Tsunade has access, I think, to like fire, water, or fire, earth, and lightning because of the whole thing. But yeah, so we'll go with fire. He learns the fireball jutsu, great fireball jutsu, sure. Dragon fire jutsu, dragon flame bombs. He learns a cavalcade of fire jutsu. His taijutsu improves, but that's not what you want to know about. You want to know about that stuff I just mentioned. How well does he work on everything I just said? Well, Sage Mode, we know he got down in like less than a month. So Sage Mode, I think he wouldn't be. I mean, granted, Naruto has to improve a lot, so he probably does take a little bit longer because he's learning so many things. But he does ultimately get a perfect Sage Mode down. Jiraiya probably was like, "You got it down even without any awards or anything. Damn it!" And it's like, "Wait, you can't do it? I mean, I can't. I still need to help him out, Paul. Well, I mean, you're here. Why don't you work on it?" And Jiraiya laments like he never really thought of doing it. If Jiraiya had gained a perfect Sage Mode, it kind of a catch-22. If Jiraiya had a perfect Sage Mode, it'd be a better Sage Mode, but without Ma and Pa there. Oh no, actually, he had the reason Ma and Pa were there, and it wasn't because he needed them to go into Sage Mode. He could go, as far as I know, he could actually go into Sage Mode on his own. He just needed them to constantly absorb chakra so he could stay in Sage Mode. That's what it was. So I think you would use Ma and Pa. So yeah, if he had a perfect Sage Mode, he'd have more chakra, he'd have more control over the chakra, and he'd be more dangerous, ultimately. I don't think it would have saved him against pain, but he might have been able to take an extra body with him. But anyway, so yeah, Naruto would get that, which would honestly pressure Jiraiya to complete his as well. Naruto also, I think, works on he at least has the Wind Rasengan. I think he at least has that, because Jiraiya would mention that his biological, the fourth goal was to combine chakra release. So he'd have at least the Wind Rasengan, maybe even the Fire Rasengan, which I always attribute to being like kind of like just a little, basically what Jiren did in Dragon Ball Super, like having a sun in your hand, pretty much. But he does not have the advanced version of that because he's working on a lot in this version. And probably a Great Ball Rasengan as well. And maybe the Sage Road Rasengan, you don't know. But either way, but when it comes to the Tsunade stuff, oh, and yeah, he has the three tail chakra modes. The fourth, obviously, he went into that, didn't go well. Even with extra seals and control, we know that just isn't in the cards for Naruto right now. He still has a very tumultuous relationship with the fox. He's really only interacted with him on a number of occasions. Hell, in the original series, he only interacted with him once. Think about that. It was that time he met him when Bunta was summoned in this training. That's the only time in the canon, in the original series, he ever actually interacted with the fox that we saw. There might have been other moments, but that was the only one we saw. There were times we saw the fox inside of Naruto, the Tsunade thing where he was nearly dying and she saved him, the time he gave him more chakra against the fight with Sasuke. But other than that, though, we never actually saw him interact with the fox until a lot more later on in Shippuden. In terms of everything Tsunade would teach him, more advanced medical ninjutsu, the Genesis Rebirth Seal Release, and the strength technique, the releasing of the seal, that's one. She just says, don't actually, when you do it, just then release it quick and then turn it off just to see if he can do it. And he does it really quick. He knows that there was something weird about that. And say, it's fine. No, it's something else, but I can't put my finger on it, which we'll use later on. I think I did actually use it with the Naruto Tsunade adoption video. But the healing, I think, is the thing he has down the least. He's still competent, very good at it. But he's nowhere near Tsunade, Shizune, or ultimately Sakura, who I still think does go to train with Tsunade. I think she spends a bit more time wondering if she needs to, because she's not feeling quite as useless here because of there's no Sasuke incident. But I do think she does train under at least Shizune, and then moving up to Tsunade with, Tsunade's permission, Naruto asking Naruto, all that. And I think she just has a better aptitude for it. Naruto's still very confident. He could easily save someone who stop the bleeding of a missing arm or something like that. But in terms of pulling the poison out of Kankuro, like Sakura did to save his life, that's something he can't do. He can't just do what she did with Naruto in the war arc, cut open his chest, put her arm in his chest and pump his heart. She can't necessarily do that, or he can't do that. But the last thing is the strength thing. And again, that's a lot of chakra control, but it's something Naruto always thought was really cool. So I think that's something he could probably get down. And because he has so much chakra, it would be very easy for him to keep doing it for a while. It's just, again, it's all a matter of chakra control, which luckily this Naruto has practiced a lot in, so he should be able to handle it pretty well. Again, I would think the only thing he doesn't have down right now is a Rasen Shuriken or a Rasen Inferno, which is what I would call the fire variant. He's not an expert medic, but he's still really good at it. And yeah, he's still where he is with the Nine Tails chakra. Granted, he probably has more awareness of his control of control and awareness of himself in those forms. Compared to the original, where he was almost animalistic. Still there, but animalistic. Here, I would imagine the three-tailed form is that's where he's starting to lose it a bit, but can still maintain himself. And should note that he's also done Genjutsu training as well. So that's what Naruto would leave off. Everyone else is probably training hard. Sasuke spends a lot of time training under Kakashi here, getting a lot of jutsu down, evolving Sharingan to the max. Again, Sakura would be still training under Tsunade. It would just take a bit longer to get there. Ino would also maybe train a little bit under Shizune. We don't really know where she learned her medical ninjutsu from. We assume it was Shizune because Tsunade was handling Sakura the whole time. Everyone else is training their damnedest. Hinata, I think one big thing for Hinata is the fact that Naruto is still in the village constantly. Although he's gone for 6 months at a time, so maybe he's getting taller, his hair's getting shaggier, all that. So she's like, oh, look how he looks now. But because he's there to still encourage her, maybe they still interact. They still have a spar now and then. They still hang out. Ino is also, wanting to hang out with Naruto as well. But as they get older, the fangirling starts to die down from Ino, and the confidence starts to boost in Hinata because there's more interactions. So you get a more mature Ino who's actually a bit more upfront with Naruto about how she's feeling. Maybe not fully asking for a date yet. She thinks maybe, because Naruto's probably told him, 3.5 years, they said. That's the amount of time he has to really do all this training. She said, well, after that, maybe we can go out sometimes. And yeah, that might be nice. So, and then Hinata hears that and maybe gets depressed. But she's like, well, what about, I think this could be the competing thing. Where well, maybe we could do something. Yeah, sure. By the way, I think I brought it up previously, but in the last video, we'll end the video on this. I'm not hypothetically opposed to Naruto having 2 love interests, hypothetically, and having 2, mothers of his children, wives, whatever, because hypothetically, clans did that in Naruto. You had multiple partners to procreate and expand the clan. However, I'm not going to do it unless it's tasteful and makes sense. Because there's only a handful of types of what ifs I'm not going to do. Pairing what ifs, because that doesn't change anything. Harem what ifs, because that's just stupid. There are harem stories that can work. Tenchi Muyu, anyone? I love Tenchi Muyu. I loved 90s Tenchi Muyu. Give me that all day. Comedy, a little action, and a lot of fun. And, occasionally a little TNA for the 14-year-old boy who's just going through puberty. So, but no, I'm never going to do a harem anime or a harem what if. I am going to leave it down in the comments below. I'm going to end it like this. I'm not going to put it in as a vote or anything like that. But would you be okay if I did that in this what if? Because right now I am actually torn between these two. I am who I want Naruto to kind of be with, because again, Ino is not a matured Ino is actually not a bad partner for Naruto at all. And I've paired him with Ino before, and I think that got a lot of positive reactions. But again, I personally have always been the Naruhito fan, so as long as it makes sense to keep him with Naruto, keep him with Hinata, I always go that route. I normally go that route. Obviously, again, there are exceptions. I paired him with others before. It just needs to make sense for the story. So right now they're rivals of love, and they're competing for the affection of the man they love. But let me know what you would. Let me know what you want to see. Anyone who wants Ino over Hinata, vice versa, or if you are okay with him somehow ending up together with both of them. Let me know in the comments below. But until then, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, share, subscribe. We'll meet again in part 8 and moving into the Shippuden era. Saying that, by the way, I'm just thinking how many more parts of this what if I have. Obviously, I got Sunday, which will be part 8. How far do I think I'll get in that? At least, I honestly, probably all the way through the Gaara retrieval arc. And Orochimaru is gone, but I do have something to supplement the Orochimaru stuff. I'm going to guess after Sunday's what if, we have at least 3 more chapters to get through, or 3 more parts to go through. So that's where I think so that means we will be going into, this will be over mid-June. That's what most likely this will mean. But we'll find out, ultimately. Maybe I'll go a little shorter, maybe I'll go a little longer. We'll find out. Until then, thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, share, subscribe. As always, you want us to review something, put in the console. I'll let us know, we'll do a review of it at some point, and I'll see you folks next time.